Hello and welcome to This Day. Today is Saturday, January 27th. Hello, Saturday. So excited for the weekend. We have a great show coming your way today. First off, we have Ro Kendall and Pat McCone with the Republican Club joining us. And after that, it's different from his usual day, but Cole Young will be here with this week's Sports Corner. And now that brings us to today's Stay Informed. If you didn't know, it is the 60th anniversary for here in the Village, and the History Center is celebrating the Village's 60th anniversary with new exhibits on display and events. So you definitely should come check that out. They are open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and they are located near Clubhouse 1. And now let's take a look outside at the weather. It's time to get out your umbrellas, not for the rain, but to shade the sun's rays. Yes, it's a beautiful weekend ahead. Today is warm and pleasant with mostly sunny skies. Today's high is 76 with a low of 49. Tomorrow there'll be plenty of sunshine as well with a high of 75 and a low of 51. And on Monday, the sunshine storm continues with clear, sunny skies. And that brings us to our sunrise and sunset. You've heard me say it this week that recently I was in Bakersfield for one of my son's cheer competitions, and so have a little video to show you of one of the skills he does in the routine. And at this competition, it was awesome because not only did they win first place, but they won their paid bid to make it to the biggest competition of the year. It's the Cheerleading Worlds in Florida. That'll be coming up in April. So they got their paid bid for that, and that's great for mom and dad because that means a little less money out of our pocket for this event. So if you would like to have your photos featured here on This Day, we would love to showcase them, so please email them to us at lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. Stay with us. Up next, we have the Republican Club.
We believe every senior should be able to remain healthy, happy, and at home. At Caring Senior Service, we understand the value of compassion and companionship. Our caregivers promote health, happiness, and independence. We cook nutritional meals, engage in meaningful activities, run errands, do light house cleaning, and more. Call us toll-free at 833-926-3700 or visit our website, CaringSeniorServiceLW.com. Healthy, happy home. Caring Senior Service.
If you haven't figured it out yet, it's campaign season, and the next two ladies we're going to talk to are very, very busy. We're going to welcome Ro Kendall and Pat McCone to the program from the Republican Club. Thanks for joining us, guys.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
Michael.
So this is a crazy kind of time of year. You guys are you getting inundated from candidates that want to come by and say hello and speak to your folks? I imagine you have some full schedules.
We do, and we're picking the ones that we think that our voters in the Village need to see and haven't really heard from. Last month we had our candidate, Denise Gary-Pandel.
We had her right here on the show.
That's right, you did, and you guys did a great job for her. And now we're going to have Eric Early.
He's coming up February 2nd,
yep,
right?
February 2nd.
And he's running for Senate as well.
Yes, yes. There's several in the Senate, as we know. There's lots of candidates. Yeah.
I think one of the challenges, I guess, would be for Eric. It's a state. Well, I talked to Denise about that too. It's a giant state. And you're running a statewide campaign, and it's that name recognition. Who is Eric Early, and what's he all about, and getting that message out there. So tell us a little bit about Eric, what you know about him.
You know, I think I'll talk about Eric because
sure.
we kind of split this up. But Eric, you're right.
You asked me about
quiet over there.
I'm just going to sit
quiet over there. We're going to get you in a minute, Ro.
No, we're just splitting up the talking points. So Eric Early, he is an America First candidate. He's a little bit more well-known than Denise was initially on because Eric ran for Attorney General in the 2022 election.
But he's not a politics guy. He's not coming from as a mayor or state senator or those kinds of things.
No, he isn't. He's a businessman, family man. He is 30 years in a reputable law firm, so he wants to bring more of a non-politician presence to Washington, D.C. And he is America First candidate, what we call America First. And so he's running on that. I've met him a couple times and I've heard him speak. And he's sincere, he's bright, he's articulate, and he's very, people want to see, what do they call him? Authentic.
Okay.
So we'll see. Michael, we just want our villagers to have a sense. We want them to see and
right.
meet
It's great
them.
that because it's they can't really, these candidates, unfortunately they're polling a little lower and they're not getting the support financially.
Right.
People aren't pouring money into these kind of races because of the fact we have that kind of plurality kind of race for the primary. So,
yes.
Ro, what do you think is the important part of any of these candidates that are coming around in terms of their messaging? Because maybe they know they don't have a genuine chance at being one of the second place candidates for Senate, but it's important for them to maybe go meet folks up and down the state and for future political offices or future opportunities.
I think that's very valid. They really want to get out there. As you know, with Denise, she took the time to air some spots on our station. She's been around Washington a long time, but in California, she's not well known. But
Right.
she is fantastic. I'd love to have her in there. She really represents, our values, I think.
Yeah. Do some of these candidates kind of use these things as like a way to kind of test flight their balloon of their issues and that kind of thing, see what's working, see what isn't, and then maybe have you seen maybe they go for another kind of office somewhere else that's maybe more
Possibly.
possible? Yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly.
They don't let us in on their plans.
They don't let us in, but in the past, maybe I thought maybe you've seen that from other candidates and those kinds of things. Talk a little bit about some of the local candidates too. This is yet another great opportunity because talk about not being able to get great funding and big campaign war chests. These opportunities for someone like running for Judge Whitney Bukowski.
Yes.
She's coming in. She's Bukowski. Sorry about that, but she's coming in and she's running for. I don't even know her name. She needs to get out there.
Yes. Well, Rose gonna.
Well, she's an assistant. She's a senior assistant DA.
Right. She's in the DA's office for a number of years.
And she is, she recently just came to fame, or notice, I would say, through that horrible shooting that they had on 55 with that little 5-year-old boy through road rage,
Right.
was killed. And it was a horrible thing. No one knew for a week who did it, but she's the one who led that and worked with the investigators and then brought it and convicted the guy. So that's what really pumped her up. But she's a very strong family values, and her most recent assignments were in family abuse,
family law.
elder abuse. And I think she fits right in with what we want to see, being helped.
Yeah, and a lot of prosecutors do move on to become either a DA, go the DA route, that kind of thing, or go for the open judicial seats. Even though they're nonpartisan, oftentimes it's usually a very conservative kind of slant when you come from the prosecutor's office, and it's no exception for her, right? She has quite the track record in terms of her she was in the sexual assault unit, like you said, she had that murder trial. And so what do you think voters look for when they're looking for a judge? Is it that kind of tough on crime kind of thing?
I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Sheriff Barnes, our sheriff,
Sure.
our wonderful sheriff in this county. He totes his hat to the fact that he is keeping. He has consequences for criminals. He puts them in jail, and he's hard on crime. So we need that because with our open borders and all these people pouring in our country, people are seeing more. We're seeing crime tick up. So I think it's more important than ever that we get some people tough on crime.
And her mission statement also says that her top priority is to have public access to an equal justice system.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. People are losing faith in our justice system. It does seem to be a little bit.
Yeah, it can feel out of balance for folks who are either on one side of whichever way the scale happens to be tipping. That's most certainly. And when we say equal access, what do you think she can do as a Superior Court judge in terms of getting that kind of message through again, the scales of justice? She doesn't want to tilt one way or the other, but what can a judge do in those areas?
Well, I think they have to be principled, and they have to believe in what they're doing, and they have to have that firm believe in our Constitution she takes an oath. She'll take an oath to uphold that, and I think that will be her
Equal justice
mission.
under the law.
Yeah,
Okay.
and give everyone.
Let's talk a little bit about the club and what you guys have been doing. I know this is, like you said, it's a real busy political candidate type of season. What do you hope that the members and the folks who come to these meetings are going to get from the next, all the way to November that you guys are presenting here?
I think we really want to raise awareness for the candidates and what they stand for, and just to introduce them. And a lot of them aren't as well known as the big heads in Sacramento. So that's just our way of introducing them and making them a little bit better known.
Our main goal too is to get out the vote, as it is for our friends on the Democratic side. The primary elections they don't bring out as many people. So
they don't really turn it out. Those are the true folks who they're involved and engaged. But for the generals, when you want that registration to kind of amp up a little bit.
Yes, and we have a little challenge, because when people can register to vote, Michael, at the DMV, if they didn't check a box for their party, they automatically go into the no party preference. And there was an article in our Globe about it, explaining it to people. So one of our challenges this month is to make sure all of our eligible voters, independent and Republican, have the opportunity to vote, and that they get the right ballots. So if they want to vote in the presidential primary, they have to be registered Republican. If they want to vote Republican, they're automatic. The Democrats are all set. They can, they don't have to. Years ago, Arnold Schwarzenegger changed that rule. You probably know about that. And we closed our primaries for just Republicans. I wish he kept it no party preference. I mean, talk about having it open and having equal.
I think people are probably surprised by that when they go in there and they're not a registered Republican, but they want to jump over there and maybe support a candidate like that, right?
Yes. So now we hope everyone will go to ocvote.com and check their status, and if they're not registered Republican, like I said, if Democrats are okay, but they've got to go and re-register. And they can always go back and say, if I want to be independent or, no party preference.
Check that box. So make sure you get registered, and make sure you obviously a good time also to make sure your status hasn't changed. You haven't been purged from the rolls for some reason, because those things do happen every 10 or so years. They go through there and see if there's dormant accounts in there, or somebody's passed away, and those kinds of things.
Exactly.
So we have one other candidate I want to talk about, Casey McKeon, Central Committee for the Republican Party. Now, most folks have no idea what the Central Committee is and does, but it's really an integral part of what happens here in Orange County in terms of the Republican Party, right?
It is, Michael. And we have, I think it's 9 districts, 10 districts, and in each of those districts we can have 6 representatives from a party. The Democrats have 6, and the Republicans have 6. So what's happened is a lot of people feel that they want more conservative America First policies being represented in our Orange County government, GOP. And they feel that there's a lot of more establishment, more, less conservative. So Casey McCune he's a current Huntington Beach City Council member. And he's doing a great job. I met him the other night. He's a great guy. He's a young guy. He's about 40 years old, and he's got a lot of energy. They just actually were able to take over the Huntington Beach Council, and they're totally revamping Huntington Beach.
Now, for the folks who don't exactly know what the Central Committee does, they don't really hold any office in terms of that, but they're kind of the I don't know what to say, the kingmakers in terms of that. But they'll gather. They'll say, okay, what candidates do we want to put on a mailer? What candidates are we going to try to help fundraise for and set our agenda around? So it's really
that's a good explanation.
It's a good role. It's an important role in the party, even though most people don't realize what it is. So you guys are looking on the Republican side. You're looking for folks who are going to continue to kind of toe the party line and whatever the campaign says. We're going in this direction in terms of the direction of the party.
You said that beautifully, and thank you. And we're gonna have him and maybe another Gracie Vandermark is also running, and there's 3 candidates. So like I said, I think our people. You asked before about what we want to help our people do. We want to help awareness. We want to encourage them to get out and vote, and equip them to make the best decisions.
Sounds like a good idea. Rowan Pat from the Republican Club here in the Village, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.
Thank you. Great job.
Adapt to It, we strive to make the everyday tasks easier by providing our customers with the tools they need to be successful. We carefully explain the use and care of all of our equipment. Adapt to It has been in Laguna Woods for over 20 years, and we know that nothing in life stays constant. So we can help you adapt to all the changes in your life. Adapt to It sells and rents items and always delivers with a smile. Come in today to experience what we mean when we say, when you can't change it, adapt to it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this special Saturday episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young, and we have a lot to cover, so I'll jump right into it. As has become tradition, I'll start with the NFL playoffs. The divisional round was last weekend, and we were treated to 4 incredible games. Well, 3.5. The half being the AFC matchup of the Baltimore Ravens and Houston Texans. I say half because Houston had pretty good control over the Ravens' offense in the first 2 quarters, holding them to just 10 points and sacking Lamar Jackson 3 times. A punt return touchdown by Houston's Steven Sims and a field goal tied the game 10-10 heading into halftime. The second half is where the Ravens showed their full strength. On the first drive of the second half, quarterback Lamar Jackson led the Ravens on a 55-yard drive, which ended in Jackson rushing for a 15-yard touchdown. Then, in the fourth quarter, Jackson would complete a 15-yard touchdown pass to tight end Isaiah Likely, followed by another 8-yard touchdown run by Lamar Jackson. A Justin Tucker field goal with 2 minutes remaining would seal the victory for the Ravens, taking down Houston 34-10. Lamar Jackson finished the day with 152 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns, on top of 100 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. On top of an already stellar regular season, this divisional game all but sealed the MVP trophy for Jackson. He became the first quarterback since at least 1948 in the regular season or playoffs with at least 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs, 100 yards rushing, and 100 passer rating in the same game. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud played pretty well himself, throwing for 175 yards and taking no sacks, but he would not throw a touchdown on the day. In fact, the Texans never even made it inside the red zone. Baltimore is now just 1 game away from the Super Bowl, and they had to wait until Sunday night to see which team would travel to Baltimore to face off for the AFC Championship game. Another historic matchup between the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs determined who would make it to the next round of playoffs. Even in the first road playoff game of his career, Mahomes threw 2 touchdown passes to Travis Kelce, and the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs advanced to their 6th straight AFC Championship game with a 27-24 win over the Bills on Sunday night. Early on, you could tell this was going to be a back-and-forth game where whichever team had the ball last would most likely walk away with a win. After exchanging field goals in the first quarter, Josh Allen scored the game's first touchdown on a 5-yard run, putting the Bills in the lead. Another Chiefs field goal and the first Travis Kelce touchdown gave Kansas City their first lead of the game, but Josh Allen would run in another one just before halftime to put the Bills ahead 17-13. Another Kelce touchdown and an Isaiah Pacheco score for Kansas City, followed by an incredible throw and catch from Allen to Khalil Shakir for Buffalo, made the score 27-24 with the Chiefs out in front. Josh Allen led the Bills on an 8-minute drive, which did include some missed touchdown passes and catches, but it still put them in field goal range. With under 2 minutes left, Bills kicker Tyler Bass set up to attempt the game-tying 44-yard field goal. Unfortunately, history repeated itself for the Bills, and Bass' kick missed wide right. The Chiefs would knee out the clock and move on to their 6th straight AFC Championship. The much-anticipated matchup between the Ravens and Chiefs to determine who will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl will be this Sunday at 12 p.m. on CBS. The Chiefs have to travel to a hostile M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore in what will be another cold winter game. The Ravens currently sit as just slight favorites to win, but with Mahomes and the Chiefs, anything can happen. In the NFC, both of these games came down to one final drive. Starting the weekend off on Saturday, the Green Bay Packers traveled to Santa Clara to take on the top-seeded 49ers. Quarterback Jordan Love and the rest of the Packers offense looked to be in control for most of the game. An early touchdown by George Kittle put San Francisco in the lead, but 2 field goals and 2 Jordan Love touchdown passes put the Packers out in front, 21-14, entering the fourth quarter. The 49ers would settle for a field goal to start the final quarter, cutting the Green Bay lead down to just 4. Then, who else but Christian McCaffrey? McCaffrey bounced off defenders and found the end zone for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day, giving the Niners a 24-21 lead with just over 1 minute remaining. Jordan Love took the field, looking to complete a game-winning drive for Green Bay and take the Packers to the NFC Championship in his first season as their starting quarterback. Just 3 plays into the drive, however, with 52 seconds remaining, Love rolled right and attempted to throw across his body to the left, which never ends well. The deep throw was intercepted by San Francisco linebacker Dre Greenlaw, ending the game and the season for Green Bay. To be honest, Brock Purdy's throws were off target all night. The San Francisco defense kept giving up some big plays, and the 49ers even had a couple of special teams errors. For a while, it seemed like the top-seeded 49ers might be sent home in their first playoff game. But a late-game comeback, led by Christian McCaffrey, saved the 49ers season. They are now just 1 game away from another Super Bowl appearance. Purdy still managed to finish the game with 252 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions, although he did struggle at times. Like I said, McCaffrey ended the day with 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just like the Ravens, San Francisco had to wait until Sunday to see who they would be hosting for the NFC Championship game. A matchup of 2 historic underdogs, the Lions and Buccaneers, would be the determining game on who would travel to San Francisco for the NFC Championship. Detroit was coming off of their first playoff win in 30 years, while Tampa Bay had just earned a massive upset over the Philadelphia Eagles during a season in which most people thought the Bucs would finish dead last, myself included. Similar to a few of the other games, after a couple of field goals and Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff touchdown passes, the game entered halftime tied 10-10. Each team scored another touchdown in the third, and the fourth quarter started with the 2 teams tied up 17-17. Detroit would score quickly to start the fourth, ending a 5-play drive with a 31-yard touchdown run by the rookie Jahmyr Gibbs. After a short 3-and-out by Tampa, Detroit marched down the field on a 10-play, 89-yard drive that took up just about 6 minutes and was capped off by a Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown passing touchdown. With just a few minutes left, the Lions were up 31-23 and again had the ball. A score would seal the win, but the Bucs defense forced the Lions to punt, and Tampa's offense took the field down 8 with 2 minutes remaining. A scoring drive plus a 2-point conversion would send the game to overtime, but similar to the Packers game, on just the second play of the drive, Baker Mayfield's pass was intercepted by Detroit, and the game was over. Mayfield finished the day with 349 yards and 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions, and Goff thrived, throwing for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns, lifting Detroit into the NFC Championship for the first time in 32 years and just the second time in franchise history. The Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers will now battle it out for a spot in the Super Bowl. Detroit's offense has been one of the most dominant offenses in the NFL this season, while their defense has struggled at times. The exact same goes for the 49ers, although I was critical of them earlier, but that was also their first game after a bye week and a long rest. I expect this game to be high scoring with tons of big plays. Whichever defense plays up to the task will walk away victorious and as a Super Bowl contending team. The highly anticipated matchup of the 49ers and Lions kicks off on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on Fox. Last week, I extensively talked about the NFL head coaching situation and how many openings there were across the league. This week, some of those spots were filled. On Thursday, it was announced the Carolina Panthers are expected to hire Buccaneers offensive coordinator Dave Canales as their new head coach. As I said earlier, Canales led the Bucs offense to an impressive season and an NFC divisional round playoff appearance. To replace Mike Vrabel, the Titans have hired the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. Callahan was part of the Bengals when Andy Dalton was their quarterback and helped develop the team under Joe Burrow in recent years, which led them to a Super Bowl appearance in 2022. And lastly, the biggest news of the week. The Los Angeles Chargers are hiring Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh has a long, storied history of success. He just recently won the national championship in Michigan just a few weeks ago. Before that, Harbaugh went 44-19-1 in 4 years with the San Francisco 49ers after inheriting a team coming off of 8 straight non-winning seasons. He took Stanford from 1-11 to an Orange Bowl win and a top 5 ranking in 5 years. He went 29-6 coaching non-scholarship Division I AA players at San Diego. The Chargers have a lot of key players becoming free agents this offseason, but this hiring is the first step in returning the team to its former greatness. I mentioned it had been over 30 years since the Lions have made it to a conference championship game, and for the first time in 30 years, another record has been set in the golf world. 20-year-old American Nick Dunlap has become the first amateur golfer to win on the US PGA Tour in 33 years and just the 8th amateur to win since 1945. The college sophomore, who plays golf for the University of Alabama, won the American Express tournament Sunday at the PGA West golf course in La Quinta. Dunlap's score of 29 under par was 1 stroke better than the runner-up. However, there's a weird wrinkle to the story. Because he's strictly an amateur on the tour, Dunlap is unable to cash his $1.5 million winner's check. That means even though he beat runner-up South African Christian Bezoudenhout by 1 stroke, the entire purse will go to Bezoudenhout. Luckily, due to new collegiate NIL deals, Dunlap most likely won't go home totally empty-handed. It's only fitting to end the show with another record that was just broken earlier this week. Reigning NBA MVP Joel Embiid had a historic scoring night on Monday, producing a monster stat line, ending the game with 70 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. He's only the 9th player in league history to score 70-plus points, and this was his career high in both points and rebounds as the 76ers defeated the Spurs 133-123. Embiid scored 24 points in the first quarter alone, and it was apparent early he was going to put up a ridiculous stat line. The center has been absolutely on fire, having scored at least 30 points in the last 21 games he's played. Embiid is also leading the league in scoring, averaging an astounding 36.1 points per game. That just about does it for this week's episode of Sports Corner. Be sure to check out all the excitement around the NFL playoffs this weekend, as well as some basketball, hockey, or if you're into tennis, the Australian Open finals, which are this weekend. I'll cover the results of that tournament next week, and we should be back on the normal schedule, so I'll see you all on Friday. I'm Cole Young. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Did you know that the Laguna Hills Lodge was originally built as a place for relatives or friends to stay when they were visiting? In 1968, Laguna Woods' residents built the first 2 buildings of the lodge because they wanted a place close by for visitors to stay. Since then, the lodge has become the spare bedroom for the Laguna Woods' residents. The lodge has received the TripAdvisor Award of Excellence 8 years in a row. We invite you to stay in one of our recently remodeled garden rooms and take advantage of a special offer for Laguna Woods' residents, family, and friends.
Welcome back to This Day. Let's take a look at today's movie presentation here on Village Television. Today's movie is Man on the Moon, starring Jim Carrey. This is being brought to you by RadNet. This film is a biographical comedy drama film about the late American entertainer Andy Kaufman. The story traces Kaufman's steps from childhood through the comedy clubs and television appearances that made him famous, including his memorable appearances on Saturday Night Live, Late Night with David Letterman, Fridays, and his role on the sitcom Taxi. And now let's take a look outside at the weather. It's time to get out your umbrellas, not for the rain, but for some shade from the sun. Yes, we're going to have a beautiful weekend ahead. Today is warm and pleasant with mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow there'll be plenty of sunshine as well. And on Monday, the sunshine storm continues with clear, sunny skies. Coming up Monday on This Day, we have Miriam Khan joining us. She's going to promote a possible new club here in the village. And also joining us is Natalie with the Orange County Fire Authority. So definitely check back in on Monday. That's it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. For This Day, I'm Bobby Higgins. Have a great day.